Yo, what's up guys? Balance patch review. I've already read it a little bit. I'm also here live on Twitch, so if I make mistakes with things that I read, people here in the chat can correct me on those. I did skim through it a little bit, and I think in general, like people always ask me, it's like, okay, how do you rate the balance patch? I would say if you're very RTA focused, it might be not that interested. Kind of expected because we're closing in on the SWC season. If you're caring a lot about Siege, there can be a few things, like especially defense, that could be pretty interesting. And PvE related, I think there's a lot of stuff. And they actually addressed a whole bunch of LD5s. Of course, not your LD5s and above everyone else's LD5, but no, just kidding. There's actually a few LD5s I saw already that I'm like, okay, that's slightly, I'm not sure if that's really needed. And a few of them that I say like, okay, that's kind of understandable. So the first we have the Shizuka and the Seimei. Their S2 no longer decrease the cooldown by 1 turn on a dead ally. I feel that's very fair, mainly for Shizuka, because Shizuka is still like a powerhouse, is still like a super annoying unit. If it procs on the first turn, it's like, oh, you went in with an AoE stun, but Shizuka procced out now, your whole team is AoE stun, that kind of nonsense. She's a very powerhouse of a unit. So I think for Shizuka, definitely a fair nerf. However, for Seimei, a fair nerf, I think it's fine. And the main reason why I think it's fine, like people might say, is like, oh, my LD5 gets nerfed, it's shit, and that kind of stuff. No, like if you play Seimei solely for the S2, you're playing Seimei wrong. You're playing Seimei for the passive on the S3. You don't really care too much about the S2. Like in most cases where I draft Seimei, my whole team doesn't die, and therefore the S2 never has any value. So, yeah, that part. It also says the cooldown doesn't decrease on a dead ally. That does, however, still mean, I think, that if you use the Soul Protect on one of your allies, you still decrease the cooldown by 1 turn. So you can still use a Seimei or a Shizuka for that. But that kind of stuff. I think that someone just mentioned, which is interesting, is Seimei has a Awaken into Accuracy, which is very useless. I agree, because only the S1 uses Accuracy, so a Resistance Awakening would make a lot of more sense for Seimei. But yeah, that's about Seimei. I think Shizuka fair nerf, Seimei, it's okay, you don't really need it too much. Next one is once again Veronica, but then also because Veronica is combined with Amber, also with Amber. So what do we have over here? We have the increase, we remove the effect, increase a chance to land glancing for 2 turns 50%, and the number of attacks from 3 to 4 to 2 to 3. Damage, however, is increased, so the damage has remained the same. Glancing is removed and multi-hit is removed. That is an insane hard nerf, I would say. Is that too hard of a nerf? I'm not entirely sure. I would have personally said it, maybe make it 1 turn glancing. But 2 turn glancing, especially for Veronica, is insanely strong. Removing that doesn't necessarily make her straight up weak. I still think it's a very strong unit because of the cooldown increasing. But the glancing, for example, you could throw a Veronica into a Verdehile or other units that actually need to land their shit. It is a non-element, as in light, so it doesn't care about any of the elements. It will land those glancing. It's multi-hitting, so it will definitely land those glancing. But those glancings are gone right now. Also, additional damage artifacts are a lot less for Veronica right now. So that is also a pretty interesting part. I don't really like, for example, if they just said instead of 3 to 4, if they just said always 3, I would have been kind of okay with it. I don't really like that 2 to 3 part. The 2 to 3 part is just, I dislike that. You know, honestly, I still rated before this balance patch, Veronica was the absolute strongest unit in the game. After the balance patch, mainly with the glancing, removing solely, she's no longer the strongest unit in the game. Absolutely not. There will be other units that will take over that spot, for sure. But then we also have for Amber, which of course is mainly used in, well, TOA kind of stuff, mainly used in arena offense. You see more and more people using it. I use it a lot in siege offense, always used in siege offense. She will have the glancing removed as well. Personally, for me with the Nefties, I don't care that much because Nefties will drop that. But yeah, still, that's something that reduces her damage because the nano vision will be also reduced because you get less of that kind of stuff. So we have the additional damage by 3 to 4% and then up to 12. So was it 9 before? So technically that reduces the damage by quite a lot because if you get 4 hits of 3 or now 3 hits of 4, yeah, it's kind of same, but when you get 2 hits of 4, it's really reduced. So it was 12, so okay, so it was always 12 before. Okay, interesting, interesting. Interesting fact that I would say is a thing right now is that the skill 1 technically is stronger. That's the only interesting part about this, because the multi-hit on the S2 is reduced, therefore you get more damage on the passive. So the passive on the S2 is slightly buffed and slightly weakened, but in the S1 it's fully improved. So you lose 1% and it's 2 hits. So, well, yeah, the thing is, it goes down by 1 hit. It doesn't go down by 2 hits. It goes down by 1 hit. Like if you normally had the lower end of the draw on that one, you go from a 3 to a 2, and you go from a 4 to a 3. So technically damage stays the same. So technically it's kind of same-ish. The only difference is that a 3 times 3 would be a 9, and a 2 times 4 is an 8. So slight damage nerf on that. However, on the S1 is always a double hitter. So there's always 2 multi-hits. And that goes from a normal 6 to a now 8. Technically, if you calculate it like that. So, okay, slight nerf, slight buffs. Interesting. Is it necessarily bad? I don't know. Is a nerf for Veronica needed? I would say yes, but removing the glancing all completely will hit her pretty hard. That will hit her way harder than the multi-hits on it. It's glancing Glancing is super strong. It's very underrated, I would say. Continue on with Lora. Lora, instead of the defense buff, goes from 3 turns to 2 turns, but she gives a speed buff for 2 turns. I think that is very interesting, because speed buff actually makes it, you maybe have seen my first video on the round 3 of Siege Tournament. If your unit is moving very fast, gives in a specific tick speed buff to the other units, that speed buff starts counting, and therefore a unit that might be slower normally starts getting a turn then as well. So I would say that Lauren would definitely be a good potential for doing a lot of damage. Or not doing a lot of damage, for having good setup. And that good setup also helps that additional damage by speed is of course amplified by speed, which is pretty nice. So I think Lora will definitely have her shine. Definitely the cool thing about Lora, she's like, what, 120 base? She has multi-hittings, so once again, additional damage by speed increasing effect, that kind of stuff. Miles Lora, that's a very good call. Yeah, those kind of units. I think Lauren, especially now, because normally you would say like, okay, I kind of want to put Swift on her, but she doesn't make that much sense on Swift because there have to be something else really fast after her. Currently, because of that speed buff, you might get away with that Swift. Or actually, a Despair still helps you a lot more. Plus, keep in mind, Oracles have arguably one of the strongest S1s in the game for RNG potential. So, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, some people are still discussing about Amber. Yeah, if it goes that you lose straight up 12% damage, Amber's gonna get a lot worse. And my strongest siege offense is gonna get worse. I don't like that part. Yeah, to be honest, Amber didn't need the nerf. Veronica did. So it's kind of sad that they didn't buff the Nano Vision harder. I would say that Nano Vision should give 1 extra attack to all skills of Amber. I don't know, that would be me. But let's continue on. We have Patar, Patar, or something like that. We shall see what he can do. Increase the attack bar. We changed that. Okay, we increase the attack bar when your beneficial effect gets removed. Okay, so before it was when an inability effect is granted. Now it is when you have a beneficial effect removed. That is pretty interesting, because if he gets stripped by anything, he already starts moving. And I think that makes him a stronger counter to many things, because the previous buff was just saying like, okay, I counter Gianna. Nothing more, nothing less, I counter Gianna. That's it. In this case, it says like, okay, I actually start countering a whole bunch of things. Sure, you still have to keep in mind, for example, a Chiwu skill 3 pushes back, that kind of stuff. Yes, that is still there, but is it countering, for example, a Hey Gang that strips? Yes. So there's a bunch of things like, for example, a Lauren starts stripping him. Does he counter that? Yes. So I would say that Patar becomes more usable. The only big issue that Patar has in comparison to Abellio is that Patar does damage from HP. And that's not necessarily bad anywhere except in RTA, because in RTA at some point your HP drops and your attack goes up. With Abellio, you start dealing a shit ton of damage because your damage is from defense and a little bit of attack. In this case, your main damage is from HP, which starts lowering, so at the end of a match, a Patar doesn't do any fucking damage anymore. So that is, I think, kind of an issue for Patar still, but is it a very good counter in the first rotation of whatever is happening? Yes, I think that will be definitely one of those units. Like, if you see it dropped in the field and you have a bunch of AoE strippers, but you don't really necessarily have pushbacks, it becomes a dangerous unit. However, we still have things in the game like Robos, Moors, all of those units that strip, but then also pushback, which still has good odds to overcome that 20%. So I wouldn't have mind to see this like 25-30%, in all honesty, because Patar, you don't really want to build it too fast. And this also signals you need a Patar that's like 170, 180 speed or some stuff in like, let's say G3. But to be honest, it would be more chill if you could say like, okay, I'm just boosting straight up like 30%. My Patar is like 140 speed. He's at the good bruiser set. He fits the bruiser potential rather than the super speedy potential. So I would have liked to see that, but in all honesty, it's fine. I think it's a decent buff. Then we have Dorothy, which I've called before the most shit unit in the game. I actually made a video on her for her damage. She isn't necessarily worst in the game. She has some potential actually to be best in slot next to a Leo and whatever I used back there. Don't necessarily remember exactly what it was. But the issue with her kit does not make sense. You do not need to destroy HP when everything is supposed to be dead. It doesn't make sense. It's like selling candy on a candy store after a nuclear war. Like, it doesn't make sense. Everything is supposed to be dead. You can sell candy right there, but it doesn't help you. So that's the thing. Attacks all enemy additional to the destroyed HP. Okay, so after destroying HP, attacks all enemies again. So that part might make sense. Because she does damage, and then based on the destroyed HP, she does another hit. So if she can actually fully clear with that hit, does that make it that... If she kills on that second hit that is in there, then it maybe would make sense. Because you nuked everything, and then you give the final like backhand to actually kill everything. Interesting. Curious to see how much damage she will do. That's definitely a testing I will do on a video. That's pretty interesting. Okay, so we have this one, which is the increase your defense by 10% stacking to 100, kind of like Artemil kind of stuff. And then increase your defense for 1 turn when you attack the enemy. Okay, so that's, I guess, just defense buff then. So technically that's a buff and a nerf, because technically this is 100%. Plus you could stack this with a defense buff of another unit. In this case, you just have straight up 70%. But you have 70% from the get-go start of the match. Is it necessarily a buff? If you place this next to a Lalaya, it's not a buff. So I'm not too sure about it. I don't really like this buff in all honesty. I think she was not great before. I think she's not going to be great after. I think you can still use her in siege offense here and there, but I don't think she's that great at it. Then we have the Wind Pure Vanilla, which removes a harmful effect on the ally with the lowest HP condition, grants a shield after removing the harmful effect. Is this the skill that does the increased cooltime kind of thing? Like, I'm not too familiar with the Pure Vanilla. No, wait, I'm thinking about the Hollyberry cookie. Pure Vanilla, what the hell does she actually do with that skill? Let me actually give a quick look, because I'm actually too unfamiliar. These units to me were just shit, you don't have to look at it. That was kind of the thing for me, so it's this skill, right? Okay, so this skill is a passive. Okay, that's not too bad. And when ally is attacked, give shield damage. Okay, yes. And you have that stupid ass slow as heal with some shield or stuff. Yeah, okay. Let's read that again. Does that make any more sense right now for what we're looking at? We go back to Pure Vanilla. Removes harmful effects on the lowest HP. Wait, is that every time she takes a turn then? Or is it every time that something is hit? Because technically the activation on that skill is every time it's hit, isn't it? That's kind of weird-ish. I'm not sure. Kind of weird. I'm not too sure if that's rather good or bad. I don't know. I'm too unfamiliar with those units in all honesty. So then we have the Fire Pure Vanilla, which a lot of people were super hyped about when the buff happened, the first initial buff happened. But for me, it was more like, okay, I don't really see this happening all too much. Were the numbers too low? I don't even think so. So we have the recovery granted to allies from 30 to 40%, whatever. And we have the attack bar decreasing from 40 to 50. Still kind of whatever. Like, sure, it kind of makes sense in very specific scenarios. But the issue is she's a passive totem. And some people, like, or some units can get away with being a passive totem. Like Seimei, you don't have to do any S1 or any S2 through the whole fight. And she has high value. But can a pure vanilla cookie do that as well on this kind of stuff? I don't think so. So I'm not sure about the pure fire vanilla cookie thingy, whatever. But it could have some potential. Then we have the Eivor and also the mercenary queen, the light one. So this is for Livered because he has one. Each attack removes one beneficial effect on the enemy. Okay, I do want to see. I know that her S1 is a double hit and her S3 I think is a double hit as well, but could be a triple hit. I'm not 100% sure about that. Not this one, not that one. This one? Nope. Wait, where the hell is she at? That's... Oh, it is this one. It is this one. So this one is a 2-hitter and this one is a 2-hitter. That's actually not bad, especially if those become like a 100%. Strip. So every hit you do, and you get a lot of... That's finally where her high base speed start making sense and her passive starts making sense. Because then you can actually strip and stun. You can strip and armor break. That actually becomes... Okay, I think she becomes pretty strong. I'm not necessarily sure if it would be like one of the most OP units out there. But it also highly depends if she strips before dealing damage and that kind of stuff. I do think so. And thanks for the primer, Alucard. But I think that becomes pretty interesting of a unit throughout, definitely. Then we go to Van Cleef, which has been a unit that has been getting a lot of buffs, nerfs, weird stuff, back and forth. But let's see what is happening on this one today. So we have to remove beneficial from all allies. Okay, we have to replace beneficial effects with decreased defense for 1 turn if the enemy has a beneficial effect. Ooh. Wait, is that the 5th hit? The 5th hit is the AoE hit? Or what is the 5th hit exactly? Because that seems pretty strong. That's the AoE hit, right? Yeah, so... But then it means that you... Don't you like strip and stun first? And then later starts... Is it nice? I don't know. It's only 1 breath check. It is. But I feel like that might have some potential. So let's actually see where we have this unit at. So that's, okay, it hits 6 times, so it's on the 5th hit. And the 5th hit, what is the 6th hit? Increase the, ooh, okay, that's actually interesting because the 5th hit now applies armor break. And the 6th hit gives a prolonging of a armor break. So technically you can still do a 2-turn armor break on that. However, it's the first 3 hits, so whatever you're hitting at the moment right away, you will remove the beneficial effects and that will not be transferred into armor break right away. Because only... If I don't mistake it, only the 5th hit will start transferring into armor breaks. So probably you already removed all beneficial effects on the unit that you're specifically hitting before that 5th hit. It would be nicer if... It would also be kind of OP, I guess, if every strip on this whole skill would start armor breaking, because then this skill would be insanely strong. But it's kind of weird. It is somewhat weird, but it's... I also kind of somewhat see the potential for follow-up. But I still think he deserves the speed lead more than more. But that is me. Would this unit be necessarily super good from it? I'm not too sure, but I feel like I can see the potential in it. I can definitely see the potential in it. We have the Beast Monk Fire, and this guy starts having a loaded kit. Like an absolute loaded kit. So silences for 1 turn becomes... Grants Oblivion for 2 turns with a 50% chance. Issue that Kumar has is that he just doesn't have damage. You can add all the crit rate, crit damage to your unit, but it doesn't deal enough damage. I was right away thinking for this one, like next to a Sylvia. That's crazy. Like Sylvia or like any team up, you're granting that Oblivion all the time. I do feel that Kumar becomes very good for siege offense. Siege defense, I'm not too sure. Like, yeah, you could kind of say like, okay, this is your new counter to a Windy. Because technically this starts hitting Windy all the time. Yes. There is still the silence, if I'm not mistaken, on Kumar's skill 3. Because that kit has been I think Kumar has been buffed like 16 million times by now. Funny enough, Kumar is actually one of my very first net 5s that I had. But yeah, it has the silence that goes up all the way to 100. It also cleanses or some shit. Yeah, it cleanses on all allies. It silences everything. Kumar's going to be a good support unit. Keep in mind, Kumar doesn't deal jack shit of damage. The base speed is kind of weak. The defense and attack is also kind of weak. But yeah, this is also... It's not going to go up to anything. It's still... Wait, it removes a beneficial effect for 75% chance. And then it goes for a glancing. Yo, that's actually pretty busted. Not going to lie. And they also changed something to the S2, which we'll check in a second. But his kit is pretty... It's loaded. Like, that's the only thing. Like, he's missing damage and he's missing the good speed. He kind of still needs that speed buff that he used to have. But that's definitely not bad. Definitely not bad. So we also have for the fire, wind, and light, we have meditate. Meditate is normally was removing... Okay, remove all harmful effects granted on yourself and the ally that's targeted and recover yourself for... Wait. Oh, whoa. So it's going to always recover yourself. It's going to also always recover the ally that's targeted. And it's going to cleanse both. Am I reading that correct? Because that is a heavy cleanse in Siege. Because that's 2 out of the 3 units just like done. You're healed, cleansed, everything. Sure, they lower the healing. But that is strong. I gotta confirm in chat. So that's... Okay, so you're healing 2 units. You're cleansing 2 units. I can see the potential. Definitely he does need something else next to it. But this is going to become Siege offense meta for sure. Siege defense meta, maybe. But Shazam is also within this. That's a good call, yeah. Shazam is definitely going to be a very strong unit. Issue with Shazam, most things you place it with, you can single target cleave it kind of. You kind of have to get away that kind of shit. But yeah, Kumar together with Kami. Yeah, if you just go Kumar, Kami, Windy. Trust me, it beats pretty much everything. Kumar, Kami, Windy, it beats everything. Like, I don't know what you... Like, if you have enough destroy on it, it should pretty much beat everything. Like, unless they hella destroy you, but... Fair enough. Let's continue on. We have the Fire Ass Master. I mean Art Master. Enemy counterattack does not occur. Okay, interesting. I was kind of... Like, when I was reading this, it's, of course, Verdi Heal Skill 3. That's the main thing you think about. But... You know, honestly, most of the time, a Verdi Heal Skill 3 or a Skill 3 Verdi Heal Passive, whatever he counters on. It sounds nice, but yeah, exactly as you say, more is still there. There's more things to it. Like, it would be nice if it just straight up said, passives don't happen. Like, if you use the S3, passives don't happen. So, that means Vert can counter, but passive don't happen. More can get hit, but it doesn't really do too much. So, Vert is dropping hard out of meta. Yes and no. Technically, Vert is going slightly more into meta because of the nerf of Veronica, because Veronica was a hard counter to that. But, yeah, I think it's fine. Like, I think Vert is not really too much of an interesting unit for RT. I feel like Vert should stay in PvE. I feel like Vert doesn't really... He's just annoying in, like, every sense of the way of that unit. So, for RTA, so yeah, I don't really mind if he gets harder counted. We go with Shiho. Shiho already received like 16,000 buffs as well, but Alter Ego is getting another buff. Stuns the enemy for 1 turn with a 15% chance if the attack lands a critical hit. The hit is 5 hits, if I'm not mistaken, 5 or 6, and that is a decent amount. Let's actually check if it is 5 or 6. I think it is 5. And there might also be a conditional increasing effect thingy on it with skill ups. Maybe there's just damage on it. I don't know exactly. Okay, there's just damage. And it is 6 hits. So 6 hits, it stays at 15% chance. So yeah, that's about a 50-50, like with all the resistance checks and whatnot. It's probably around a 50-50 if you will stun or not on the skill 3. However, it is a strip and stun. Which, that is pretty nice. Plus his whole kit, yeah, as you mentioned, it's... stunning on every hit. So 1 stuns, S2 stuns, everything stuns. Kind of funny. Necessarily needed to make him better? I'm not sure, but it's kind of interesting. Now we have Zairos with a buff. That's actually pretty interesting. Zairos got buffed on the S1 and S2 before. I'm not really sure what they're trying to do with it. In all honesty, Zairos is kind of just a unit for arena offense, and it's kind of out of meta for arena offense as well. But let's see. So attacks all enemies, put their cooldown to max. And then it also goes 1 over max. Okay, additionally, if you have the enemy attack power is half, then your attack power increases the damage you dealt on the enemy by 50%. 50% is a huge fucking boost. That is really a lot. That also means that Zairos is most likely to go somewhere around speed crit rate attack, maybe even. You could still go crit damage, but you could fix the crit rate or the crit damage from artifacts. That becomes pretty decent. The only issue is Zairos is wrong element. If Zairos was light or dark and it has this kind of buff, Zairos would be insanely strong. The issue is, however, you still have the glancing effect where you do less damage. However, keep in mind, glancing does not give a shit about the cooltime increases. However, you can still miss them. So, yeah, Zairos also has the Galleon problem. Technically, yes, but technically also no. The reason I say no is because the max cooltime increase still lands whether you killed or not. If it lands. So, yeah, that's kind of the thing. To be honest, I would like Zairos to just have an irresistible cooltime increase. Would be cool. Would be funny. I don't know. Would you see Zairos right now in RTA? No. The base stats of Zairos, I think he has like... If he had less base stats, he would just die from just standing. I don't know. Like his HP and defense, as far as I know, is super low. He has very high attack though, but makes sense for the second half of that. But yeah, interesting. Then we have the light vampire, Julian. And instead of removing all harmful effects when you inflicted fatal damage, remove all harmful effects on yourself for the start of each turn. That means one thing for sure, you need to have Nemesis on it, 100%. That also means if you kill it once, it will still have all of the debuff. So this only means that he becomes very strong, insanely strong, but if he gets stirred. If he gets full on CC'd, you can just keep killing him, because the old thing that made him strong, where he starts cleansing and that kind of stuff, that is gone. He only cleanses when he takes a turn. It does, however, mean that you cannot stun him, so you have to CC him by pushbacks. It's a change. I definitely think it's better, but you have to use him slightly different. You cannot just use him as like a punching bag anymore. You kind of have to protect him by making sure that he still gets turns. But that is very strong, and Julian damage is very much underrated. Julian damage has been, like we've seen, I think, Legend Tournament, mainly from True Will. Julian on S2, no attack buff, just an arm break, hitting like double, like 20k. That's nasty. That's nasty. Already see Julian in TOA Hell rotations. Oof. Oof. That's, yeah, like I said, you have to push back that unit permanently. If they say that and no attack by decreasing effects, I'm doing -1 star. That's all I can tell you. I'm doing -1 star. I hella want to push back this motherfucker, man. Ain't no way I'm gonna let this guy take turns all the time. And then put some annoying shit next to it. Okay, then we also have the Leslie, if I'm not mistaken, the Water Vampire, and it chances to decrease defense. We decrease the defense attack. Oh wait, that goes for decreases defense. Added effect goes for the attack bar. Okay, so it has a higher chance of AoE armor breaking, and it now also pushes back. And that is, if I'm not mistaken, a decent multi-hitter too. I think it's like 2 or 3 hits. Let's actually give that a try. Where the little Leslie at? We go for this skill. It's a 5 hit. Yo, whoa. It's a 5 hit, 30% armor break, 20% pushback. This becomes interesting. Wow. That becomes very interesting. I think you can even do specific cleaves with that. Okay. I dig that. Because that is... I would have to do the math behind it, but it might be one of the highest odds to land an armor break. Because 5 times 30%, and I think it stayed at 30%, right? It doesn't go up or down. Does it? No, it stays at 30%, but even then, that's nasty. And it also always lands critical hits on fire. I'm not really sure if I like that part, like I would go max crit anyways, but... Yeah, that's a pretty interesting take on it. So let's continue on. We have the vampires done. Homunculus. Okay, for this one I would have to go back and forth quite a lot. because I don't know exactly what these skills are, and that will be taking some time. So we have the Ray Shock. So both are wins. We have the Ray Shock and the Ray Chain that go from a disturbed recovery to defense breaks. That is pretty strong. I think those numbers also do go up, but I definitely do want to check. I think I'll put timestamps in this video of every unit because I'm going over the units slower, but I do want to like specifically go over them. So, okay, I think it's just this one and the chain. So the chain is going to have 3 hits of armor breaks. Wow, that's actually pretty strong. Is this a multi-hitter as well? No, this is not a multi-hitter. And this also already, no, this is something else. So we have a multi-hitter armor break on the skill 3. That is not bad. That is actually pretty solid, not gonna lie. If we continue on with Mr. Homunculus, because I know Homunculus has a bunch of buffs. So we have the Ray Shock, we have the Destroy, and then Ray Shock. Wait, is this changed? Skill change? Wait. They are making things so difficult right now. They're changing skills to other skills and then they're adding skills? Or what the hell are they doing? Or they're just changing the name. Like, okay, I think they just changed the name. They just changed the name. So Destroy becomes Amplify. And then, okay, so damage proportional to your attack is damage to your proportional attack and enemy max HP. So that definitely means right away Abyss. Does this only mean Abyss Giants? Maybe, but to be honest, from what I'm reading from this all along, I would say this is going to be your Lin replacement. So we've all been, well, mainly me, I've been complaining Lin is a shit unit, Lin doesn't use right skills, Lin is a potato. This might be your best Lin replacement. And to be honest, a lot of people always say like, yeah, but I like my Water Homunculus for this and that and that and that. True, but I think you're very much going to like your Wind Homunculus because this is also a multi-hit. What is multi-hitting? Necro. So this will most likely also be the meta unit for your Necro Abyss team. Will this also be the meta unit for anything else later? Well, we have to read a little bit further, but let's see from there. And better base stats, 100 times better base stats, 1,000 times better base stats. Plus for wind, it's the right element, which also kind of helps. But let's actually read the skills instead of that kind of stuff. So, as it is, okay, that was what the previous was. The new skill is going to be attack the target proportional to enemy max HP and decrease the defense for 2 turns. Okay, so you can choose either just this or this. Okay, so this is the multi-hit armor break. And this is the armor break single hit, but then damage towards enemy max HP. But this is skill 1. It also really depends, like, how much is this enemy max HP targets, because we know the numbers from Lin. The moment that the balance patch hits, I will definitely make a video on this Homunculus, and I will check the numbers, like how much is a Lin S1 from enemy max HP, how much is an Homunculus enemy max HP S1, and then so forth, so on. So then we have the lightning bullet, and so both of them are lightning bullets. So let's actually check what tree the lightning bullet is going at. Let's see, we have the Homunculus. Lightning bullet is going to be, that's air bullet, lightning bullet. So it's the bottom line. So it's not going to end up in this multi-hitter branding thing. It's not going to end up in the magical bullet thing, but it's going to end up in Sharp Wind, which was already an enemy max HP. Also hope that the animations, I tried the Water Homunculus before, and the Water Homunculus had humongous long freaking animations on that S3. Like, it was this skill, absolutely longest animation in my life. Like, you can go to McDonald's, grab a breakfast, then head over to Burger King, have lunch over there, go to KFC, have dinner over there, and then still the animation is not done yet. I hope the animation on this thing is slightly faster. But besides that, let's look at what the skill actually does. Why would you go 3 places for lunch, breakfast, and dinner that are all fast food courts? Don't ask me. I don't know that, I think. I hope, I pray. That's unhealthy. Depends, if you eat a salad at all 3 places, it's not unhealthy. Huh? Okay, let's continue on besides the nonsense. So we have that, okay. We have the lightning bullet, which is just proportion to your attack and enemy max HP. Okay, makes sense. So we're still max HP and that kind of stuff. This one used to be the stun, okay. The target enemy's max HP, yes, and stuns for 1 turn. If the target is immune to stuns, 100% damage increase. That is like Brandia. That is so much damage in an S2 already. So definitely for bosses, man, holy shit. Here we go to KFC for eating salads, exactly. But yeah, that's like brand new. That's a shit ton of damage, and that's just the S2. That's already a lot of damage. So then we have the Lightning Bullet Suppress, which is still the skill 2 if I'm not mistaken, and that's also proportional to enemy max HP, okay? And then we have the Sharp Wind, which is already the thing that's enemy max HP, and then it's dealing proportional to enemy max HP and defense breaking, okay? Very much what I hope right now is that this thing is dealing armor breaks before damage. That would be like, for example, a Jara does the armor break branding before the damage. But this is going to be your R5 King, this is going to be your Rift Raid King, this is going to be your Abyss King, this is going to be, well, Abyss in Giants, but also Abyss in Necro King. This unit is going to be insanely good. So, for sure, trust me, I'm going to hella make this one. So, Sharp Wind is this skill, Soul Shot is not used at all, so it also really doesn't make sense. To be honest, this whole skill kit doesn't make any sense to go Soul Shot anymore at all. But it's definitely going to be either this one or this one. I kind of have to check which one I would say is stronger. I would say for this one you have to go for the Destroy, which is going to be the Amplify. And then this one I would personally probably go for that skill that does more damage when you are supposedly stunned. So that's the one that's already stunning at the moment. Let's actually give a look at that. Homunculus, this is the one that's stunning, and then, yeah, okay. So this skill will be the one that does a lot of damage, and this will be, okay. We would have to see what does more damage in that take, but that would definitely be, I literally never saw someone use Wind Homunculus. Actually, fun fact, we used to use Wind Homunculus on the skill tree with this skill, to put branding in the S2, to have branding in the S3 as a setup for Katarina one-shot in R5, when you could still one-shot R5s. That's the only place I actually use Wind Homunculus ever. So, did the water one get damage based on HP? The water one has some, but as I mentioned, animation's way too long. And it's not that great of a skill set, and I do think that this one has a lot better skill set for it. So, that is everything Wind. Interesting. Definitely good. Then we have the Wedjat buff that everyone has always been asking for, and it's finally put through, and I think it's a very fair buff. It increases all attack bar, including the one of yourself. It just makes a lot of sense. It makes him more of a vert. It makes him a more solid unit. Would you necessarily say, like, okay, we're going to see a lot of Wedjats right now? Arguably not really. I don't think he's super OP, but for example, Neo that really likes to play around the Wedjat with like the Feng Yang and that kind of stuff would be pretty nice. Miles Raccoon with Jet RTA definitely is a possibility. That's definitely a possibility for sure. But I would still kind of say that you want to pair Wedjat with some defense scaling units. And you know what's defense scaling units and what are going to be buffed? We get 2As on the Frankensteins. Keep that in mind. We get Bulldozer 2A, we get Tractor 2A, we get Driller 2A, we get Crawler 2A. We get the other one that no one really cares about 2A, Crane? I think Crane. Those 2As, or even the Copper like family 2As, combined with this Horus buff, that might be hella strong, I'm not gonna lie. That actually might be hella strong. Yeah, sure, his speed lead is still weird as fuck, but depending on how good those units become, because I've actually seen people go Horus plus Bulldozer, and then your Bulldozer is still like somewhat of a speedy set, but still doing a lot of damage. That could be interesting, because Bulldozer, I don't expect them to increase the skill 3 and the skill 1 that much, but the skill 2 will probably be improved. If that skill 2 becomes good enough where it is a bruiser, would be nice. How do we know about the 2As? They mentioned it in a previous dev talk. It's coming like somewhere late August or some stuff. But okay, I kind of dig that buff. Like, wouldn't necessarily say it's like super strong, but it has a lot of potential to have a better setup towards other units. So I like that. I like that. So then we have the Fire Pioneer with Sleeve Attack. Attacks all enemies, devour power, remove all beneficial effects on the enemy, absorb the attack by 30 afterwards. Increase the chance of glancing for 2 turns. This attack will deal more damage according to your speed. Yo, whoa. Did they put the glancing that makes Veronica OP towards this unit right now? This unit is... Yo, I'm gonna run a Chiwu. I'm definitely going to run Chiwus again. Holy shit. They really want to get rid of her. That's strong. But same thing, like CP. You're glancing CP. Good luck landing your pushbacks. Good luck landing your shit, CP. Like, there's so many units that if you glance them, good luck landing your shit. Like Carno S3 glanced. You're not landing jack shit. Nefty's skills. Good luck landing your shit. Glancing is fucking nasty. Glancing is actually very strong. Sure, glancing is technically kind of nerfed because of the despair change. But, yo, people are gonna be running Chiwus. I think Chiwu meta is coming back. Actually, my highest win rate ever that I managed to get at any season where I got rank 2, my second stripper, of course, my main stripper always been Gianna, blah, blah, whatever. But my second stripper was Chiwu. And even into Vert meta everything, Chiwu was my second stripper. And Chiwu technically still count as A-gang, still count as all of that kind of nonsense. Chiwu's gonna be a gangster. Trust me, Chiwu's gonna worth your good roots. Because speed lead, man. Speed lead. Definitely. Then we have the Toar with Crush. And now we decrease the attack bar of enemies, including the selected target. And before it was just stunning the selected target and then decreasing everyone else. And now you're stunning and decreasing. Stunning and decreasing, if you land both, technically is a 2-turn CC, in my opinion. Depends how much attack bar you had on that unit. But most of the times your Toar moves just before the enemy moves. They have close to 100 attack bar. That is a 2-turn thing. And I started liking Toar quite a bunch more. I started using Toar more to snipe out like Junos and that kind of stuff. But that becomes pretty strong, I would say. And Toar's skill 2 is still pretty nasty. Whereas Legmaron buff, well, technically Legmaron has the highest speed base, so Legmaron is already better by that. But yeah, that's interesting. Then we have Momo, which is the Wind Mage. And it increases the scaling from 5 every iteration to 10 every iteration, so you only need 20 iterations to get at the full damage, rather than the old, 40 iterations. Would be more interesting for siege offense, siege defense maybe. So, Toar S3 target cannot be resisted. Wait, is that the case? Let me double check. Man, this video is so much longer than I expect. I'm totally going to put timestamps in this because, yeah, this video is just way longer than I expect. I'll put timestamps of all of the units. But guarantees to freeze one. Ooh, guarantees freeze and then also has that. Wow. Yeah, that's Zairos. Definitely, like, he has this issue. Like, he's 911, he's an insane attack, but this 95 is, and then this is technically based on speed kind of shit. 95 is kind of shitty, but yeah, this thing is going to be a headbanging motherfucker that's pretty solid. Not most of OP, I really feel like that Chiwu might be a big winner on this balance patch, in all honesty. But we'll go over the winners like all the way at the end. But so far, actually, I'm rating this balance patch pretty high. Like, I'm not sure about you guys, but I feel like this balance patch has a lot of nice stuff. Then we have Bella. Bella, which is the Dark Cannon Girl. Increase your attack bar in proportion to the amount of destroyed HP on your 4th skill, if I'm not mistaken. It really depends on the number that it is. In all honesty, I feel like Bella didn't really need a buff. It's going to be stronger for sure, but does she really need a buff? I don't think so. People were avoiding skill 4. Yeah, I don't know. But I felt like Bella was fine, in all honesty. Like, sure, Bella needs the absolute craziest artifacts you have. Pretty good overall stats to make her shine. But a lot of people didn't really want to use S4s before. You kind of are used to use S4 more often right now. So it also makes sense that a crit rate build rather than a full speed attack build makes more sense on her, I would say. But no, I can see the potential. Is this necessarily like a crazy overbuff? No. Did she necessarily need this? Also no. So that's kind of my take on this. Then we have Helena in the human form. Increase attack bar by 15% when attacking the enemy target with harmful effects. And that is an added effect. So she already increased attack bar on critting or whatnot. But now she's also increasing attack bar if something has a harmful effect. Which just makes it that she's pretty much like stacking like 200% attack bar whenever she uses her as 2-on-4 units, I guess, and lands everything. That's, I guess, fine. That's not sure if it's really needed, but I guess fine. She was already better than Alexandro. I highly disagree. Alexandro is very underrated, mainly because you don't have to build any crit rate on her, which just makes her very strong. Plus she has the, what's it called? That stupid annoying thing of reflex. So that makes her pretty interesting in different drafts. But I would say an Helena as a Leo counter might become more and more interesting. And I definitely will rune up my Helena as a Leo counter. Because a lot of the Leo teams do not really have that much of will runes in most cases. And this will make our cycle pretty good. So yeah, you definitely have to throw this into teams without any will runes. Because if you don't have will runes, well, you cannot land shit, you cannot absorb shit, you're still fucked. But that's pretty interesting. Then we have Will-O-Wisp. Will-O-Wisp is all Ninetale focuses, so I assume that is the skill 1. I'm pretty sure it is skill 1. That is a multi-hit that leaves dots, but now not only dots, but also is going to land branding. That is nasty, and I'm not gonna lie, Ninetale foxes were already good. Like, they were siege offense meta for I don't know how long already. They don't really need that. I think why I'm checking her as 1 right now is because the effective rate goes up. Wait, is she going to brand a 35% chance on a 3-hitter? Wait, that's nasty. Our Fire Homie replacement for PC10? Maybe. That's actually a good take as well. Because she has... That is actually... now you say of it. That might be your Fire Homunculus replacement for PC10. And maybe you can even use this one, the dark one. I should have just clicked on a different element. That would have been a lot easier. Do I even have the dark one? I probably do. Kamiya. So this one might actually be very strong. Because there's some change to Nightmare as well, if I'm not mistaken. But this skill might be your replacement to your Fire Homunculus. Because you're gonna need that Wind Homunculus for other stuff. That's another video. That is definitely... I should write down these other videos that I have to make, man. Ninetale Fox, PC10, and Homu, everything. That's an easy one. Fire one doesn't dot. Fire one, or the dark one doesn't dot. Also doesn't dot on the S1. I think the S1 should dot, right? I hope, I pray, I don't know. Ah, okay, that's too bad. That's too bad. Okay, then you still need the Shihua. Because you kind of need those dots to have that kind of stuff in. You could say that you... No, I would still go Shihua. So you kind of still have a fire unit in there. It's worse for elements, but I think it's fine. So we have that going. Then we have the water one, which is a Soha, which is the cleanser. I think that's an AoE strip cleanse kind of thing. Increase the attack bar of all allies if there's no harmful effects to remove on allies. Wait, is that the S... Wait, isn't that the skill that strips and cleanses at the same time or some weird shit? That's one of those units I'm not familiar with. So is, I think, the least used of those girls for sure. I should be looking at her right now, but here she is. So cleanse is the skill 3. Okay, skill 2 is this strip. I forgot about that. Skill 2 strip, so this one is... Wait, this is still, the cleanse is still, inflicts damage to all enemies to remove beneficial effects. Yeah, it's beneficial effects, plural, so it's going to remove everything. And then remove harmful effects afterwards. Okay, I guess. Siege offense, I could see some uses here and there. It won't be too great, but... Since she also lands the branding on the S1, it is somewhat of a decent improvement. But I wouldn't say that's that crazy good. Like, in the end, it's an if-or. So if it removes something, it doesn't boost the attack bar. And 50% attack bar, you're not going to win or lose a match over 50% attack bar. In most cases. However, we continue on with the Dark Ninetale Fox. And Dark Ninetale Fox, if you're attacking an enemy that's under sleep, stun, and... Wait... If you attack an enemy that's under sleep, stun, the stun enemy equals the numbers. The target has damage increased by 10, so... Okay, so technically you can just add like, what, 20% damage if it was slapped for 2 turns. Meh. Could be interesting-ish, wouldn't necessarily say it's super OP. Okay. Then we go on with Harpies, and every Harpy is going to have the Red Hunt, which expect Red Hunt means a skill 1 because everyone has it. We're gonna double check that in a second. But yeah, it's going to double hit which makes Helia... Technically, it's the issue that Helia S2, if they said Helia S2 armor breaks, I'm like, yo, Helia becomes so good. But Helia S2 still doesn't armor break. Helia S3 is armor break branding. S1 is double hit armor break. That is very nice. Let me actually check if the numbers, because it goes 50 to 45, which is very odd. Like, why the minus 5%? Like, drop it a lot more. Like, if you would say 1 to 2 hits, you could almost drop this double. It's like, does it end at 95% with subs? Yeah, that was what I was going to check. It's gonna end at 95? That's weird as fuck, right? But okay, 95 double hits. That's technically your best S1 armor breaker in the game. Except for... No, is it better than Feng Yang? Or any of the pandas? Yes. Helia 2A S2 armor break. Yeah, if we get Helia 2As, man, ooh, shit. Okay, now we have the Wind One Boar Hunt. Grants additional defense decreasing effects on an enemy that's immune to stuns for 2 turns. So once again, bosses. So let's actually look at the Wind One, which other skills the Wind One has, because that could be your replacement. I use like Barky, the Wind Pirate Captain. I use Dalseem, those kind of units as your backup, like Jolton as your backup stripper, or a backup armor breaker, not stripper. But those backup things were pretty nice, but now that also means, okay, Boar Hunt is skill 2. Skill 2 doesn't do jack shit. Well, I'm not liking this skill 2. Before you check it, go further down the balance patch. I'll check in a second. But I'm not liking your S2. That's some garbage shit. S3 definitely does make sense. But, okay, that's decent. So apparently I'm missing something if someone just told me to go down further. This skill. S2 gets changed. Oh, okay, well, we're gonna check that in a second. Helia might become hella fucking strong. Okay, S2 is a change. Why did they not put S2 in that kind of stuff if they're changing it? But let's see. So first of all, we have the Ezio Steel Commander Water, which is Lionel, which we actually seen in Siege Tournament a little bit. That's the AoE stripper that does like AoE strip, attack buff 1 unit, and attack bar 1 other unit. Very weird unit. And the issue was he was at 98 base speed, which is going to be 130. Don't at me if I was wrong on the 98, but that is going to improve by a good amount, a substantial amount, to where you could say, like, before you kind of had to force him to be swift. Now you can kind of maybe just Vio him, despair him, anything of that. His S2, if I'm not mistaken, is the S2 where he throws money as if they're like you're on the red light district. That kind of stuff. So, I could be wrong on that too. I think he has the S2 that is the money throw. It looks like such a ass hooker skill. Let's call it that way. But that is pretty interesting. That's definitely nice. I would say that this one is a pretty big winner as well. We have the Dark Ryu, which goes from a resistance to accuracy. That makes all the much sense, so it's a lot easier. Before, you kind of have to maybe still force it towards an accuracy slot 6. With this 25, you don't want to go accuracy slot 6. Okay, then we have the Harpy Winds, which has the strengthening of the S2, and then it is a... Woo, okay. So S1 armor breaks double hit, S2 armor breaks double hit, S3 armor breaks multi-hit on the Wind Harp. Wind Harpy, let's make a video on Wind Harp. Because, well, this is going to be your free-to-play best unit for armor breaking in Giants. That's just 100%. Plus, all of them are multi-hit, so you can even translate this all the way through to maybe Necro, because in the end, Necro, you want a multi-hit, you want an armor break, all of the kind of Gucci stuff. She might be pretty useful there as well. I kind of want to check her base stats after this, because base stats might be kind of shit, but that is definitely interesting. Then we have a bunch of better than Galleon. No. Galleon is AoE single target, best single target one. Because, of course, Galleon still does that better AoE, other units do better than Galleon AoE, but she is for single target the best, I would say. Too bad that it's not Helia, because, well, Helia might be kind of broken if you throw this on a Helia. The issue with this, however, is that you can never use this in Dragons. That's kind of the only issue that I have with this. But still, let's continue on. We have the Meddling Cooking Water, which I have absolutely no clue what she does. I have absolutely not a slightest clue what she does. So probably a shit unit. Then we have the Fire one, which I only use in Subjugation, and that now has an attack lead. I don't give a shit. I use attack leads units that's better than that, so that doesn't really change anything. However, the Madeline Cookie Wind, which is the unit that goes for a 15% boost, crit rate buff, attack buff. Don't add me if that was wrong, but with a 19 base speed. That becomes very interesting for siege offense. Is it overall? Was it? I think that was a buff overall, right? It was not just specifically for guild battles. I think it was for overall. But yeah, that's a attack buff, crit rate buff, and 15 attack bar. That is pretty interesting. Global lead 15. This is something people are going to use. Arena offense most likely will be done, but siege offense for sure. Siege offense is definitely going. Technically, you could even go. Let's say you go this unit 19 base speed. You go Kabila, and then you go for a Lucian. That's pretty gangster, not gonna lie. Because you have Kabila for a very fast boost. You have this one for a slightly faster boost, but because of the 19 lead, you can most likely outspeed things on 24 lead. And then your Lucian just has to be in tune after a 30 and a 15 buff, 45 buff. You get the crit rate buff, you get an attack buff, so you only need 70 crit rate. That is nice. That is definitely like single target cleaves as well. Yeah, if you go this unit plus a Covenant Kali, that is going to be difficult to prep all the defenses against. Not gonna lie, that is a pretty big buff to siege offense, and that is a unit that a lot of people that are siege cleaving are going to make multiple of, 100%. So that is definitely an interesting unit. Then they changed the AI in PvE, so that is the full moon. I actually don't even know what it is. We have the beginning of the full moon. That's probably attack or the crit rate buff, isn't it? So these, I'm pretty sure that these are all focused towards the spiritual realm. So spiritual realm, like I hear a lot of people like, my Seek is fucking never buffing this shit. Yeah, that you need that crit rate buff, but because of Seek always being like on the perfect AI buff right now, that's I think the situation is just that it always will use it. So that definitely helps. Then we also have for Lauren mainly, no one's really using the wind one. Who the hell is even the wind one? I don't even know the name, man. Like, if you guys don't look it up, you guys don't know the name. But okay. The skill will be more often used when targeting. So this buff, actually, they did this buff way back for Baladion as well. And therefore, Baladion is a perfect AI where he always uses as one until he has to heal or has to strip. The moment he has to heal or strip, he will do those. And otherwise, he always uses as one. So Baladion technically is still a very good armor breaker as well, because he will never do any other skill than S1 unless there's conditions where the other skills work and make sense. And that's pretty interesting too. We saw quite some Zens on, and we actually used Zen ourselves as well on defense to test. But the issue was that, yeah, Zen throws S2 on something else and then starts hitting somewhere else. I'm like, dude, you link that guy to slap his ass with your big ass fucking claw. You backhand them next level and you start backhanding someone else. That doesn't make any freaking sense, mate. So for that, this buff does make a lot of sense to have him have perfect AI kind of stuff. Then we have the Nine-Tailed Fox, which, man, they're flying over with helicopters here. The Nine-Tailed Fox will also do for defense that she will prioritize the sleep. I guess makes sense, doesn't matter all too much. She's not really a defense unit by all means. And then we have some skill error fixed, which is... Okay, wait, what's this? Fix an issue where accessing info remaining of row 5 full being... I have no clue what this means. I'm not gonna lie, I have no clue what that means, but that is for everything. And then we have the critical links, fix the issue abnormally, when replacing defense. Okay. Not really sure if that ever was an issue. I haven't really seen that, but fair enough. And then we have the 5 during a boss battle. And nope. No one's going to use this against a boss. Like, technically, you could use it against Spiritual Realm, but no one should properly use this against Spiritual Realm. So, we actually did the balance patch review in an hour, which I definitely will have to put timestamps for, because an hour is way longer than I expected. But with these balance patches, I really like to go in depth. So, just a quick TLDR of what I think about things. I think the Seimei nerf is fair. The Shizuka nerf is fair. Seimei nerf not really needed, but I think she doesn't really need, or she doesn't really care about it too much. I think the Veronica nerf is pretty harsh. That glancing 2 turns is very strong. The multi-hits, Veronica doesn't care that much about, so to be honest, well, additional damage artifacts, but besides that, Amber's damage will be reduced quite a bunch because, as people mentioned, it could be 12% before. It is still 12%. Technically, it's easier to get to the 12%, but if you do 2 hits of 12% right now, it is quite low on the thing, so I don't know. Lora, I would classify as one of the balanced patch winners. I would have to see people actually use it, but we have the additional damage by speed. Like, if you guys remember the moment we had Jeogun with the speed buff, Jeogun used to be a stripper speed buffer. That was insanely strong that they had to chip off the speed buff. Lauren is going to be on that same kind of level. Like, sure, it has a different S2, but Lora is going to be very strong. Lora is definitely one of the winners on the balance patch, I would say. Patar, I don't really feel it. I think like he needs like a 30% rather than 20% because you're kind of forced to put Patar like a 180 base speed or a 180 like bio set, that kind of shit, to make it actually kind of work. So I'm not really sure. Dorothy, depending on how much damage she does with that second hit, if she actually nukes everything to shit with that second hit and then actually everything dies, she already has pretty good damage. Kind of depends how much that extra hit is. I could feel that she could become pretty interesting, in all honesty. Like, very honest, I think it could be interesting. The light Hollyberry cookie, I think this is barely a buff. I'm not even sure where it is at or for, so I don't really know. The wind one, I'm not too sure how this unit works. I can't really give an argument too much on it. The fire one, this unit, I think it used to be like a very top tier, rated by everyone reading the last balance patch and then people trying it out saying it's shit. It was actually kind of shit. I think it still kind of remains shit, in all honesty. We have the light Eivor with a removing of beneficial effects, but she has always 2 hits, so she has 2 chances to do that. She can strip and stun on the S2, she can strip and armor break on the S1. I feel like she becomes very viable, especially with her high base speed, 118, getting a lot of turns all the time. I think she becomes a very strong unit. You could even throw her on Despair, I would say, so she has more chances of like more cycling, more stuns, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, that pretty much. We have the Dark Ryu, which becomes pretty interesting for having an accuracy awakening rather than the other awakening. And thanks for the primer, by the way. Thanks for the primer, Diabetech. Really appreciate that. So yeah, this skill, the S2 is kind of, or the 5th hit is kind of weird. Would be maybe stronger if it was on the first, third, or second. But I think it definitely has some potential. We have the Kumar with the Oblivion S1. I think it will be very good as a side unit. Siege offense, very strong. Siege defense, I'm still not really sure because you kind of have to place it with other things. And then I'm not entirely sure how good that will be. The S2 definitely is a good improvement, especially for Shazam and Kumar, I would say. You could say that the Retash plus Varad Anvil combination that was mostly used with a Leo in Siege or in Arena offense, just those 3 in Siege offense, will become a very strong Siege offense. So once again, Retash, Anvil, and Varad. I think that's pretty strong Siege offense in general with those 3, especially with the Meditate being stronger right now. We have the Fire Ass Master with no countering, so just countering Vert, I would say. Is really good, I don't know. We have the Monkey with extra stuns on the S3, really good. Kinda, iffy, I don't know. Zairos with extra damage, really good, I don't know. We have the Vampire with the change where he would be harder counted by pushbacks and less counted by just being killed over and over. So I think it's a change. It really depends like how people play with it. We have Leslie that has a 5-hitter with a 30% decrease defense and a decrease of attack bar. Definitely a unit that I'm going to be cleaving with in Special League the moment 4-star Special League comes out again. But besides that, would you really use this as a cleave in Siege or anything? You could technically say like I go for a Gemini, I go for, well, would you even go Gemini? You don't really need Gemini. Wait. You can actually go, the new cookie, the cookie with the higher attack bar boost. You go for a Fire Fairy, the Iselin or whatever her name is. And then you go for this unit and you have a pretty nice combination. Leslie for Wave Clear in DB Abyss. Could be interesting as well. So yeah, there's pretty much a few interesting things to this. All of this homunculus stuff, I absolutely love it. I think this unit is going to be super meta in pretty much all of the PvE content, except for dragons, where you have a boss that you need to do a lot of damage to. So definitely I will be building this unit already on this build prior to the balance patch, and that's very much the first thing that I will check out the moment the balance patch hits. So if you haven't yet, follow me on Twitch as well, so you don't miss it the moment I go live on that, which will probably, I expect this balance patch to hit like Thursday, Friday, something like that. I do actually not hope it will hit at the same time that the big patch will hit at Chronicles, because I also want to stream that. But we will see. I can't divide myself in two pieces yet. That's a skill I haven't learned yet. We continue on with the Horus. I think the Horus is a pretty nice buff. However, the Horus buff might be, I would say, more focused towards also seeing what other units can you pair with it that can use a defense buff in all sense of like the new 2As that are coming, like the Frankensteins and all of that kind of good stuff. Chiwu, I would say, is one of the big hitters of this balance patch for PvE related or PvP related things. I think Chiwu is definitely going to be one of the top tier, if not the top tier strippers in the game, because glancing, man, the moment you strip and glance, a third double hit you doesn't even crit once, and then glancing is strong. Glancing, even though glancing is slightly nerfed because of the despair change, but very, very strong. We have Toar, which becomes even stronger. I don't think he necessarily really needed that buff, but I think this becomes a very strong unit as well. We have the Momo with faster scaling. I think it's better for siege offense, siege defense. Siege defense I was always kind of iffy on this unit, so I'm not really sure. But siege defense might be slightly better. Definitely siege offense would be good. We have the Cannon Girl. I'm not necessarily sure why she's buffed. I also don't think it's a crazy good buff, but it might be pretty interesting. It really depends, like its attack bar increasing proportional to the amount of damage or HP destroyed. If this would say like, okay, you destroyed 30% HP, you get 30% attack bar, might be, would they say you get 100% attack bar for 25 destroy? It really depends on the numbers with those kind of things. I'm not 100% sure about that. We have the Fire Unicorn, which gets more attack bar when there is harmful effects, which is pretty nice. Not really sure if she really needed it, but I think against less enemies, she's still likely to cycle into her stuff, which makes her a lot stronger for siege offense for sure. Would you use this more as a Leo counter, only if there's no immunity on the enemy side? We continue on with the Nine-Tailed Foxes. All Nine-Tailed Foxes will actually get a, well, if this ups all the way as well, this will become a 35 if I'm not mistaken. So 35% chance on a 3-hitter for a branding, which might make it that we no longer need the homunculus for PC10 fastest team, like the homunculus fire that I used to use for that, but we could maybe even use like either the fire or the dark one, probably the fire one because it also lands, what's it called, dots on the S1. We have the water one with the cleanse, which I don't think will be used anything as much. We have the dark one with the nightmare dealing more damage on the stuns. I don't really see that happening all too much either. I don't think it's that strong. Then we have the Harpies. All Harpies S1 will go to a 95 chance to a for a 2 hits for defense breaks. Holy shit, been talking too much. Defense breaks, 2 hits, so that becomes very nice. And then even the third skill becomes that you have the defense chance if there's immune for 2 turns. So wow, there's so many defense break potentials on this Harpy that's wind. Plus we have the Harpy, if we go a little bit further down, we have the Harpy where that here. That is the Harpy that the skill 2 changes from accuracy or awakening, that it changes to the S2, also defense break. So there is a full-on defense break set on, well actually this is the first unit where the S1, S2 and S3 all defense break. Because you have a lot of units where it's S1, S3, for example Galleon, S2, S3, for example. No, wait, is it S2, S3? I think there's some units that have S2, S3, but there's no unit in the game yet that has an S1, S2, and S3 for defense break, so I think that's very useful, and that definitely will be your meta in Giants, but also meta in other things. And this will be the best option if you do not have Jara. Jara is actually a good point. Well, it's on the passive, but yeah, it's a good point. But this is definitely a good option if you do not have the Debra. This is by far the best replacement you can throw for Debra. We have Lionel with a speed increase, which I think is pretty solid in general. So we already used it, but I think that's pretty nice too. We have, as mentioned, this accuracy increase. We have a bunch of leader skill changes here that doesn't really mean jack shit, except this leader skill, which does mean a lot of shit. And that is the speed buff, so you can go for this unit plus like Covenant Kali, you can go for this unit Kabila Lucian. There's a lot of like cool stuff that you can do with the Madeline Cookie Wind. And then we have a bunch of units. If you were farming the Spiritual Realm is now buffed for AI for Seek and all of those other units that give that. And that is pretty much the whole balance patch. So in all honesty, I think this is a pretty solid balance patch. Sure, there might be people saying like, oh, my LD5 is not buffed, this is not buffed, that is not buffed, this is not nerfed, Robo's not nerfed, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. Yeah, there's still a lot of stuff that they could do, but in honesty, I would rate this balance patch a good 9. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I give this balance patch a 9 for focusing a lot on good PvE stuff. I'm seeing a lot of PvP stuff. Like, this is one of the few balance patches that addresses everything. It addresses, to a certain extent, RTA, it addresses a lot of Siege, and it addresses a lot of PvE. So there's not that much more in the game than those 3 things, and I kind of expected less stuff for RTA, but there's actually quite a bunch more for RTA than I expected with the Shizuka nerf, with the Chiwu buff. Chiwu buff is going to change the meta, for sure, 100%. Like, sure, it's going to be AOECC, blah, 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 whatever meta, but it's going to change the meta of the units that you see. Plus, it's going to be arguably one of the best options. Like, someone else drafts an Oliver. What do you draft? Like a more CP? You know, really? No, you go Chiwu. You go Chiwu because if Chiwu glances on Oliver, Oliver is fucked. Because Oliver doesn't like fucking glancing. Like, sure, his attack bar absorbs, they don't work anymore. Like, sure, the cooldown increases, they still work, they don't give a shit about glancing. But he lacks his cycling if he's glanced. So, yeah, I definitely do see the potential in this balance patch. And that's also where I end the video, because the video is 1 hour and 12 minutes, which is way too fucking long. And I definitely need timestamps for that. So, guys, thanks for watching. Definitely follow me on Twitch and on the YouTube channel as well if you want to see any of the content on those new units, because I'll definitely be making new videos when this balance patch hits. I do not know exactly when this balance patch hits, but most of the time they give like the pre-notice, and then a few days after is where the balance patch hits already. So I'm kind of expecting Thursday or Friday, but we shall see. But I'll definitely be streaming at the moment it goes live. Guys, thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.